That's awesome. I've never been to Amsterdam, but I've always really wanted to go to Amsterdam. I just think that's a cool place. 8 o'clock. Oh, in Amsterdam it's 8. So it's 9 a.m. here. Bought the yearly sub for Neutrino. I was missing it. Valerie, yeah, it's I can't live without Neutrino design. I literally am. I look at that thing multiple times a day. There's times when I literally will just stare at my body graph and just kind of like daze out, like kind of go into a little bit of like a hypnotism with it. What I'll do is I'll put mandala view on, and because I'm a reflector, I'll put the mandala view on with my body graph and with the moon transit only. And I'll look at the center, like my G center, and I'll look through my phone, and I'll use my peripheral vision, and I'll just like watch the moon or the lunar goes this way. Um, I'll watch the lunar transit just go like around and around and around. It's quite fun. As reflectors, it's very important. Like when you don't have the transits, um, when you don't have the transits as a reflector, it's like not really being able to look at the weather, right? And we don't really think about this very often, but knowing the weather for our ancestors was the difference between survival and not survival, right? Like if you were about to sail across the ocean and the weather was not favorable, you could decide to postpone your trip and save your lives. A lot of us in our lives are not sailing across uncharted seas physically, but energetically, yeah. I feel like until now is when we're getting a lot of HD content. We used to have to pay for it, right? Well, and the thing is, like, nothing wrong with paying for human design content. There's and nothing wrong with paying for anything at all. It's like if someone has something that you want, you should be excited to have something that they want. And I understand that like certain things are very inaccessible in terms of price. Like a lot of people's courses and things like that in the human design community are actually very reasonable. And so I'm grateful for that. And there are a lot of people that are charging a lot of money, and they're not really bringing anything of tangible value. And this is something that if you're following me, I really want you to pay attention, because it's so important to me that you understand the difference between inflating your head with more information. A lot of people pay a lot of money to like be able to talk and learn everything. But what they don't realize is that just because you know more about human design doesn't mean that you actually can use human design any better. And in a lot of ways, people that are obsessed with understanding the system are using human design as a way of bypassing actually confronting the fact that they can't use their strategy and authority in the time when it counts, right? And so Angie's here with some neutrinos. What's up? um, and what I mean by that is like, if you don't feel safe to use your strategy and authority, like you're afraid that someone is going to shoot you down or someone is going to abandon you, you're much less likely to use your strategy and authority, right? Because you're not, whether you're physically in danger or not, if there is a sense of danger there in your body, you're more likely to just follow your conditioning rather than differentiate yourself and upset somebody. That's why like doing things like biomechanics and sensory deconditioning are so important, because you can't just expect learning about human design to help you. That's the same as like learning about philosophy and never applying it, or learning about mathematics and never applying it. And so it depends on the guide or teachers. Usually a good teacher is comes from using the knowledge themselves. Yeah, there's just a lot of um, new teachers on the market, and there's nothing wrong with a new teacher, but a lot of the, especially they're like trying to compete, right? There's a lot of competition, and when you're really in a class of your own, like you're not competing with anybody, because I don't see anyone as a threat, because having somebody else tell people about human design to me is not a threat. They're actually my collaborator, right? And some teachers are teaching, not proving it, right? And so that's a great point right here, is like you don't want a teacher that knows how to teach the thing. You want a teacher that does the thing, right? Like who would you rather learn music from? Someone that teaches music, or somebody that is a rock star? Now, if you want to teach music, learn from the music teacher. But if you want to be a rock star and you can learn from a rock star how to be a rock star and play music, do that, right? And I learned this a long time ago, and it was kind of like, don't take the advice of somebody who you wouldn't want to be, right? Like if someone doesn't have what you want, how are they going to show you how to get it? If they don't have a happy relationship, how are they going to show you how to be in a happy relationship? If they don't have a lot of money, how are they going to help you make a lot of money? If they don't know how to use their strategy and authority when their nervous system is at its capacity, when everybody wants them and there's so much pressure to do a certain thing, um, like that's what I'm looking at, and especially as a reflector, because one of the things that's so important to me as a reflector is who is differentiated, who is unique, who is different, and who is conditioned. And it's not a like, oh, conditioned people are bad and differentiated people are good. But for me as a reflector, I've spent a lot of time around conditioned people. And it makes my life very hard and confusing. Cha Cha, what's up? And I can tell you that you've also spent a lot of time around people that are heavily conditioned, and you are probably heavily conditioned yourself. We are all heavily conditioned. And the concept of deconditioning is almost funny because there's no way to undo what happened to you. But you can change the story. You can recondition yourself to something using your body graph that is actually more natural for you. So I can tell someone that jumping over a hurdle works. It's the individual telling you the truth. Yeah, and oftentimes too, it's like, again, it's like the rock star is busy being a rock star. So he may not necessarily like have a course for you to take, right? And this is something that I've experienced in my own life. Most of my professional career as a human design professional and as a Reiki master has been literally offering Reiki to people, has been working with people, um, to balance their energies, etc. And it's only once I became a father really that I decided, okay, I'm going to start teaching this stuff, because I needed to be more grounded and rooted, not moving around a lot. I mean, I was going to islands, I was going to other side of the country, I was getting flown everywhere. You know what I mean? It was really fun. I was like the Reiki master to the millionaires, and it was freaking fun. But I'm so much more excited about what I'm doing now, because you who are watching this are similar to me. When I was getting started with spirituality, I was like, where's the cool, like chill, relatable um, person that really understands this stuff and is embodied in it and is not going to charge me like $10,000 to spend a weekend with them, right? And this is why I created the archive. And I'm working with my buddy Pasha to share a cutting edge approach to human design that uses sensation and somatic therapy essentially to approach human design. So that way you're not just filling your head with information, right? You join the membership. It's 37 bucks a month right now. It's early entry. The price is going to go up after the new year because there's already like almost 50 people in here. And what's happening is that, we're not just filling your head up with this is what this gate means and this is what this channel means, etc. We're like, hey, these are the things you need to do physically so that you can actually take all of that information and bring it down into your body. It's not that that information is irrelevant, it's just that most people can't physically bring it, swallow it into their body. So anyway, did your newfound fatherhood teach you to move that way or set the foundation? um I think I'm understanding your question um properly, but let me know if I'm not. Fatherhood really forced me to look at the things that I was doing and why I was doing things, and it really asked me to like deepen into the reasons and the why I was doing things, because I was practicing Reiki, but it was a extension of my own healing, in the sense that when you learn Reiki, you learn about self healing, then you learn about healing others. And what I mean by it was an extension of my own healing is, I was kind of like working with people uh, in a way to continue to explore what Reiki was. And I wasn't like healing people. I was witnessing them on their transformation, and through that I would learn a lot about myself. But I was traveling around a lot, and so when fatherhood came, one of the biggest fears that came up for me was, oh my gosh, am I going to repeat the same thing that my dad did, which was, in a manner of speaking, like, go get a safe job so that he could provide for our family. And I love him so much for it, but I also in my heart in a way feel very sad because, you know I want him to feel fully expressed and all of that. And he did the best he could, and I'm so grateful and so accepting of it. And I don't necessarily want to repeat the same path. I want to have my own path. Excuse me. And so, again, I decided to take my 10 years or so of experience with human design and Reiki and make myself vulnerable to the world. It was really one of those things where it's like, one of the reasons I didn't want to teach as well is because I didn't want to deal with haters. I really didn't want to deal with them. And I realized as I started opening myself up to teaching, that there are going to be haters, and that the best teachers in the world have the most haters, and that you're not really, if you don't have haters and you don't have enemies, you're either a coward, a liar, or something worse. And so that's something that I really had to sit with and accept, that, oh, some of the ways that I was moving as a younger man, um, ignorantly, but still cowardice, and in ways lying to myself. And right now where I'm standing, I'm not saying I know everything, but I like genuinely want to find other people who are at my level of honesty, transparency, and authenticity. And there's not a lot. Straight up, there's not a lot. And I'm not trying to shame any other creators, but a lot of these teachers online, your intuition will clue you in to how embodied they are. You'll be able to see it in the way that they talk. There's teachers that are like talking, and they've got kind of like, a little bit of methy movement patterns. And again, no shame, but it's like, is that the person you want to learn from? Or do you want to learn from the person that when you watch them, it's calming, and it's you feel calm, like their energy is infectious in a positive way, right? It helps you get to the state just by watching. But it pass. Some lessons are so hard, yeah. And the beauty about challenge, right, is that it forces you to become something more than what you are right now. And this is so important, because a lot of people, they talk about goal setting and they talk about their ambitions. I feel Reiki just by watching these lives. Yep. It's because I every day I wake up, and one of the first things that I do is RPM, which is my kind of like opening Reiki practice, where I like sit and I just like take account of all my energy. Like, a lot of people confuse Reiki for healing, because Reiki is very healing, but Reiki is just being aligned with your energy. It's just taking inventory of, like, oh, like my stomach isn't that awake right now, let me wake it up. My heart isn't that awake, why is it not that awake? And it's not judging it and being like, oh, you need to hurry the heck up. It's just like, oh, that's, I'm curiously exploring the inside of my body. And this is the funny thing I see about psychics. You see, and let me know if you guys see this. Most psychics and most channels are these like glass cannons. They're hypersensitive. They are fragile. And that's where they draw a lot of their power from. They think that their fragility and their sensitivity is where their psychicness comes from, and they couldn't be more mistaken. A lot of channelers and psychics have an inability to actually be embodied, and they're using that dysfunction because it's valuable to other people, but meanwhile they're degrading their body. It's like a tree that grows branches that are really, really, really big, but it doesn't spend any time cultivating the roots, and then eventually one big gust of wind comes and it just knocks them over. Right now, you can grow a lot faster if you just grow the branches and you don't grow the roots. But eventually something will happen where, because you decided not to grow the roots, and because you didn't work with your sensitivity, right? You just avoided high stress situations, you get knocked over. And then you start blaming people. But it's like, hey, you're the one that didn't develop your roots. And I see this a lot. And I've been in, the spiritual space for over a decade, and like 2% of the people that were doing stuff are still around when I started. Probably less than 2%. Very, very few people actually choose to develop their roots, because it's so much more, how you say, quote unquote, valuable, or monetizable to grow the branches. That's the part that everyone sees. I did the opposite, guys. And admittedly, I could have grown the branches a little bit further, but I did the opposite. I was like, hey, I'm gonna hide. I'm gonna hide and make like really dope roots. And so my foundation and fatherhood really gave me the invitation to start growing the branches, because no one sees these roots. People in my life experience them, when it came to actually creating some value for the world, for y'all over in Amsterdam and in California, because I'm over here in Maui, and you guys are, receiving this, hopefully these insights, and I'm not trying to like charge you guys. You know what I mean? Like if you can just come in and get excited and apply some of these concepts that I'm sharing, sweet. And if you want some reciprocity, if you want to give to me and get more, that's what I have the archive for. The archive is my membership. It's not on social media. It's not, I mean, we're sharing about it on social media, but the archive is a project between my partner Pasha and I. My partner Pasha is a mad scientist. He'll like fix people's scoliosis. He'll get them out of wheelchairs, you know, and he does it in like the most insane ways. He's a literal mad scientist genius, and we're working together to create a new approach to human design. One that is not, okay, learn your strategy, authority, greatest sense, variables, learn every channel, learn every center. It's not that. It's, hey, what happens when you turn to the left, keep your eyes facing forward, and swallow. Are you able to swallow? Is it hard? Do you have some level of anxiety when you do that? Do you feel tightness in any area of your body? What we're doing in the archive is we're giving people an opportunity to approach human design through sensation as opposed through pictures and memorization and stuff. And again, that stuff isn't bad. The human design system isn't bad. It's just like not usable until you actually land in your body and you know how to regulate your nervous system. Velvet mirrors, hello, hello. Polo. The anticipation is sometimes created by fear. Yeah, and oftentimes there's a saying, right? It's like the only thing we need to fear is fear itself, because fear is not a bad thing. Fear lets us know where there might be danger. However, if something happened to you over 18 months ago and you're still afraid of it, that is what we would call conditioning. That is trauma, right? Because if something happened like 6 months ago and you're still afraid, like if you got in a really bad breakup and you're afraid to love again, and it's only been 6 months, that's a valid fear. For you and your nervous system, there is potential danger. But if it happened more than 6 months ago and you're still afraid to open up that box, that might be an invitation to either work with a somatic therapist or do some kind of training like we do in the archive, which is sensory deconditioning. It's physical deconditioning. It's not learning a bunch of information and trying to live in alignment with your human design. It's literally practicing and forcing your body in a way into alignment and experiencing all of the nuances. Because I guarantee, guys, I've been doing human design for over 10 years now, and I have never seen I've never seen such like wildly rapid results manifest in terms of sensation and awareness than I have using sensory deconditioning and sensory design. It's just it's training on a completely different dimension, a physical dimension. Most training in human design happens mental on a mental dimension, which again is not bad. It's just not the physical. And in my opinion, if something doesn't touch the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual planes, we're lacking. Question: are you supposed to be able to swallow when you turn your head to the left or right? Yes, absolutely. Right. And this is one of the big premises that we are exploring in human design or in sensory design and in the archive in this membership is quite simply, you know, can you watch that part of yourself that is like, oh, I can't swallow. What's wrong with me? Right? Because immediately, if you can't swallow with your head turned all the way to the left and your eyes over here, sorry, I just gotta do this. If you can't do that, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It's like there's just a dysfunction, right? You're not special in your challenges. I'll just say that. It's like, you're not the only one experiencing that. the inability to access the back and side body, that's dorsal and peripheral areas. Because all we've been taught our entire lives is get good grades, do a good job. Everything is right in front of you. But we are way over here, guys. We're also back here. And so we need to be able to explore all dimensions of ourselves, not just the part that society likes, or the part that your boyfriend or girlfriend likes, or the part that your mom and dad likes. Now, I get that it may not be safe to explore those parts. And I also get that it may be safe, but you may not feel safe. And that for you is the same thing as not being safe. And so that's the thing that we have to address. It's not, oh, are you using your strategy and authority? It's genuinely, do you feel safe using your strategy and authority? And again, something like this, can you turn your head and swallow? If that's challenging for you, or there's any tightness or whatever sensations are there for you, our invitation is, hey, explore that more. I'm not going to give you answers. I don't have the answers. The answers are in your body. And so we're doing a lot of people, I think, a great service by not giving the answers to the questions that they're asking, because you already have the answers. I have confidence that you have everything that you need. And what you're coming to me for, or Pasha, or the archive for, is a form of affirmation. Like, yeah, you're headed on the right track. Because if you're going into the delusional realms, I will tell you. I will be like, hey, you're two up here. You're two up here. And this is funny because so much of curiosity from the mental perspective is a bottomless pit. As soon as you get an answer to a question, you come up with another question. There's a lot of people that are really excited about channelers and psychics and stuff like that because they get answers to their question, because it allows their mind to continue this cycle of, I'm hungry, I'm being fed, but I'm still hungry, but I'm being fed, but I'm still hungry. When your body is fed and you can sense, oh, I'm full, and you try to put more food in your mouth, what happens? Your body rejects it. It's like, hey, I'm full. Your mind is a bottomless pit. You could put gas in that gas tank forever and run up an insane bill. But your body will stop it and be like, hey, we don't have any more capacity. Nope, nope, nope. It's overflowing now. Now you're just wasting money. So hopefully you guys are picking up what I'm putting down here. This is very cutting edge stuff, in my opinion. When I was sick this past week, the thought of coffee was like, heck no. Right? And so, again, these hard lessons in life, getting sick, losing people, losing yourself, those are great gifts. Those are great gifts. To have insecurity is a wonderful gift if you know what to do with it. Most people try and hide their insecurity. But for the people that say, hey, I'm insecure, what do? They find other people like, I'm insecure too. Well, what are you doing that helps? Well, I'm doing this. Oh, I never thought of doing that. I'll do that. Right? But again, there's so many mental traps. Precious gem, my mind is hungry, right? Your mind is hungry. But if you've ever heard of, the hungry ghost concept, scarcity mindset, um, the hungry mind is like a dog that is untrained, like an untrained dog, right? And people usually either, if they have an untrained dog, right, their dog isn't obedient, it doesn't listen to their commands, they do two things. They either suppress it, they put it in a cage, or they just let it do whatever it wants. And it's jumping on people and they're like, oh, sorry about my dog, you could tell him to stop. But it's, dude, you are the owner of the dog. You're not your mind. You are really, in a lot of ways, like, you're the current owner. You're the caretaker of your mind. And if your mind is constantly in a cage or is just running around doing whatever it wants, again, you're going to run up a bill. And it might not be money. It might be drama with people in your life. It might be sustaining physical injuries to yourself. The thing is, if you and it's not, the answer is not put your dog in a cage or let them run around free and do whatever they want. There's a middle path. It's both. The way that they train dogs is they put dogs in crates for a couple hours, few hours, 3 hours. And when they take them out, they give them their undivided attention and they train them for 20 minutes. And then they put them back in the cage for a couple hours. And they do that until the dog is obedient. The dog learns obedience. Your mind has to be disciplined. And you use your physical body. And even in meditation, when you're meditating and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing this right. When your body moves and is like, oh, let me just you're like reinforcing this dysfunction rather than having the discipline to just stay physically still even while your mind is moving. This is the beginning of being able to actually multitask using your body rather than trying to multitask using your mind. Oh yeah, overthinking and analyzing makes me exhausted. Yep. You help me realize that choices help so much when I listen to my body and how it feels. Yep. It depends on what wolf you heal, the black or the white. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and so for people that are generators and manifesting generators, typically listening to the sensations inside your body is going to be easier because the sensation of your gut is like very vocal. It's like right, and it's if you have a defined sacral, that's your guidance, that's your sensation and your satisfaction. So many generators and manifesting generators get upset because my for you is an but my mind wants us to be together. So how can I change myself so that you're an to me? Because that's what I want. My gut doesn't want that. Your gut the whole time is like, yeah, well, if you don't want me, I don't want to be with you. But again, your mind is like, oh, but we look good together on Instagram, or we look good together in my parents' eyes. But if you don't know how to listen to the gut, then you're kind of SOL. And for the for manifestors, projectors, and reflectors, there's a piece of that as well that's like, hey, you also have to listen to your gut. But how do you listen to your gut when you have other people's gut samples in your gut? How do you do that? Well, that's something that we're exploring, my friends, in the archive. So again, if you guys are interested in the archive, please come check it out. It's only $37 a month. Cancel at any time. You can buy it for a year, get like 2-3 months for free. That's $333. Right now is the cheapest it will ever be, guys. And if you get it now, you're going to be locked in for life. The price is going to go up. I guarantee that because it's already getting very crowded in a good way. Um, but just what we're doing again is like it's just so exciting. And I know because I've been doing this in like the real world for a while. But the idea of opening it up online is both terrifying and incredibly exciting because people like you who are stoked on this get an opportunity to learn with us. I'm gonna do once my finances get together. 37 is my favorite number, so I have to. Velvet, oh, I'm so excited to have you. Thank you for the reflections. And thank you guys for liking the live. Like I haven't asked anyone to like the live yet, and we're almost at 5,000. And this is so important too because again, I'm not out here looking for followers. I'm not out here looking for people to reinforce my ideas. I'm actually in a lot of ways looking for people who can actually challenge the things that I'm sharing, because when I share these things and I have my own experiences with them, it's not good to be in an echo chamber for me because I can get very delusional very quick. And so I have a lot of people in my life that are great at challenging me, and I rely on other people as well as myself to challenge myself so that I don't get caught in my own echo chamber. Quick question. You said you're a father. My 17-year-old makes me physically hurt when he is mad. Okay. So, Precious Gem, you probably have one of your centers are open. As a mother, there's still a motherly connection to your 17-year-old son. What you need to do is, because 17, adolescence, this is a phase of life where uh, human beings are establishing themselves as human beings, right? Like at one point, your 17-year-old was a baby and he needed you. Now, God forbid he loses you, he can fend for himself. He can take care of himself. And so one of the things that I would advise you to do to address that pain, number one, is not see it as some kind of dysfunction. Look at it as grief. Look at it as, oh, the mother of my son has reached her expiration to a degree. He doesn't need his mother anymore to a degree. What he needs is to meet whatever your name is, Precious Gem. One of my teachers shared this with me. He was like, "How old is your mother?" And I was like, "She's 48." And he goes, "And how old is Lorna?" And I was like, "Lorna's 48." And he asked me this like 5 or 6 times, and I was like, "All right, I don't get it." And he goes, "How old are you?" I said, 21. I was 21 at the time. I was 21. He goes, "And how old's your mom?" And I said, 48. And he goes, "And how old's Lorna?" 48. "And how old are you?" 21. He goes, dude, if you're only 21 and you're the firstborn child, your mother is only 21 years old. So Amanda, if that 17-year-old is your first child, however old you are is not how old your mom is. Your mom is 17. And what needs to happen is mom for the 17-year-old needs to die or is dying, and your 17-year-old needs to meet Amanda. You need to start building a relationship at a peer level, not a I'm gonna put my boob in your mouth. Especially for men, part of the reasons why men intrinsically rebel against their parents is because they need to see for themselves: can I survive on my own? Of course, you don't abandon them to that. Sometimes they get abandoned unintentionally, and it's because you're still trying to be mom. You're still trying to relate with him as your child, as opposed to um, you're a member of your family, an equal, a peer. And so he's my baby and he hates me right now, man. Yeah, I feel you. Use that. Again, that's a hard lesson. Use that. Take accountability for all the ways where you, instead of believing in him to be able to make the right decision, you tried to make the decision for him. And I don't mean to be calling you out, and and I hope you're receiving this, because this is genuinely something that helped me a lot with my relationship with my parents, because I spoke to my parents about that, and my dad was he was like, no, 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 you're still gonna call me dad, and I was like, George, I love you, but I want to have a relationship with George. I have a relationship with my dad, and frankly, like, I love my dad, and I don't need him now. I want to meet George. I want to have a connection with you. Not like the role that you played so that I could have the life. And so it immediately just calls into the light so many projections, so many of the ways that, oh, I'm doing this because I'm being a good parent. It's just the awareness is insane. So any ideas how to work on an undefined heart channel? I feel I need to heal. Yeah, totally. So undefined heart center, man, Gen 5-1. So a lot of the undefined centers are going to have what we would call not self themes. So the not self theme of the undefined heart is trying to prove yourself, right? Because the defined heart is here to deliver, here to be in control, here to be the best, here to be first, right? It's very like egoic, not in a bad way. It's just on the material plane, who's in control. It wants to know. And oftentimes the heart has ambition and will to be the one that's in control. So if you have an undefined heart, and if you were to look at the gates as well, there's more intricacies, but as a general approach to healing the heart center, what you have to do is you heal your relationship with your ego, heal your relationship with comparing yourself to others and the need to prove yourself to others for whatever reason. So if you find yourself competing, if you find yourself attempting to gain control or try to be first or to deliver on something, and I'm not saying that's bad activities for you. What I'm saying is that's not your MO. You're not going to have consistent energy to be able to do that like somebody with the defined heart. This resonates. Thank you. Yeah, totally, Gina. You're very welcome. Amanda, thank you. I will note um, in my journal and work on. Yes, bless you. And Amanda, another thing too is if you have the means, come join the archive, because eventually I'm seeing how parenting using sensory design and sensory deconditioning can be so helpful, because again, there's things that happen to our babies that we cannot control, but we can control our response to them. So if they're throwing hate at you, or they're sick, or any of that stuff, or someone broke their heart, you know instead of you just being in an echo chamber with them, you can be solid while they fall apart, right? You can be listening to them without needing to try and fix them. You can actually hold space for them because your nervous system doesn't become dysregulated simply because their nervous system is dysregulated. This is the concept of sensory design and sensory deconditioning. It's the ability to resist conditioning by becoming more aware of what conditioning is there. I definitely will when I can. Yes, please do. Invitation is there. Any thoughts on inner child work while the parent is dying? Ooh, man, that is the metaphor that I was talking about is is really kind of relevant in this instance too. It's like the physical representation of whatever your parent's name is, and mom or dad, whichever parent is transitioning. You have to grieve that. Like you have to and grief is a process, right? It's an action, it's a verb. It's not a noun. It's not like, oh, yeah, I'm moving through grief. It's like, hey, I'm grieving. I'm crying. I'm letting go of something, right? And when you're letting go of a parent, a lot of people are focusing, trying to see like, oh, well, where am I going to get counsel? Where am I going to get guidance? But it's like, don't worry about that. Just like let go of everything. Let go of everything. It's like a fire that just burns everything that's not the purest thing away. And so inner, when your parents are dying, that is a transition because you're not going to have that physical person to rely on anymore. You have to become that for yourself. And if you have children, right? There's all of these questions that are going unanswered, and the mind wants to answer all those questions. Like I was saying, it's hungry. But what the body wants to do is the body wants to let go. And the body cannot let go if the mind is asking all these questions. What should I do here? No, don't ask. How do you feel? How do you feel? Man, I'm getting sad just thinking about that. Like, I miss my family a lot. Sorry. I'll pray for you. You just gotta do it, you know? You gotta feel it. No one lives forever. Yeah. Yeah, grief is something that, again, we haven't been taught how to grieve. We've been taught that grieving is shameful and um just wrong, and like you're emotionally, you have to just get over it. You have to like um you have to move on. And this is where a lot of people look at, the way men do things, and they're like the patriarchy and all that stuff. And it's like there's a time for that. But a true man will say, hey, look, we're going to move forward, but you can't carry that where we're going. You have to let that go. And maybe we have time, because this is the thing, is like back when life was more hostile, the man was the one that was able to say, hey, suck it up, we need to go because there's a storm coming, and if we stay here because you're crying, everyone's going to die. I'll carry you if I need to. Let's go. Nowadays things are a lot more regulated. Not as many dangers like that. And so the men are trying to apply this not wisdom and insight in a time when protection is a lot less necessary, because people aren't actually in as much danger as they used to be. They're more in danger from their own minds than they are from the physical world, a lot of people. Um, yeah, and alcohol is tricky. I've lost a lot of friends to alcohol. My grandpa was an alcoholic. My dad, bless his soul, he's not. He's not. He knows he can drink and have fun, but he never hit us. He never abused that medicine, at least from my connection with him. And I see the toll that it took on him to have a father like that. Man, guys, y'all got me so emotional. This is the side effect of practicing sensory design and sensory deconditioning. By the way, guys, like, you will become more emotional. My projection, because I've been doing it for longer than you, but you'll become more emotional, but you'll be able to handle those emotions better. A lot of people who feel like they're too emotional, they're trying to find ways to be less emotional. In my opinion, though, again, you don't just want to put the emotions in a cage, because then something really bad happens. But you want to actually find a safe place to express it and feel safe in expressing it. And sometimes that's alone. Most times, especially if you're surrounded by people that are highly conditioned, and that are going to think something is wrong with you, that's doing it alone. It's like you have to do it for yourself, but you're also not doing it by yourself. There's so many people in the world now that are turning on to this, and that's part of why I created the archive, is because I want to give us a place to explore this together. And if everybody in your life doesn't get it, but you've got some friends online, hey, at least you got friends online. I know it's not the same as like having an actual tribe, but it is better than nothing. I've been very emotional, and I know it is better to let it flow. Yeah, yeah. It's unfortunately, my friend, this is the main effect, not the side of, right? Yeah, the main effect of being alive is feeling stuff, and that's the beauty, because when you start to suppress the emotions in the way that you feel, you start to, ooh, fear, like I'm gonna hide away, rather than like, fear, possible danger, let's see, right? People will try to make the world safe for themselves, and without knowing it, make the world super boring and not even worth being alive. Their worlds, not other people's worlds. Although they can convince you to join that world and view with them, and it's not fun. Over here at work, in tears, in the walk-in freezer, healing all Ellington. That's like, can you like, I have so much joy and sadness right now, guys. It's wild. It's whelming. It's whelming, Ellington. Sending you so much love and warmth in the walk-in freezer. Um, Thanks for taking a moment from work to share that with us, because again, and this is why I love TikTok so much, and why I love um, the community so much, is because we're all on our own paths, but we're all in like the same bodies basically, or very similar bodies. Like, human design is the study of what makes us different. Physiology and kinesiology, biology, the physical body, that's the way that we're all actually the same, right? All the ratios are similar, all the neurotransmitters are the same. I have, but what's different is how well it all works together. And that's the practical aim of sensory design, is to create a symbiosis and take all of your organs and create a symphony, rather than your heart wants to go this way and your gut wants to go that way and your head wants to go this way, and you're being pulled apart by your innards and by society. It's like, hey, how do we help you build a relationship with what's going on inside of you physically, so that you can tap into the energetics of it. Saw after questioned my son's relationship with his dad and got clarity. Saw this after questioning my son's relationship with my dad and got, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and there's one beautiful thing about the mental approach to human design, is that you can recognize and realize, like, oh, that actually shouldn't matter that much to me, but it does. Why does it matter? Because there's a person in your life that it matters a lot to you, and you unconsciously picked that value set up and installed it in a place where there's not supposed to be anything there. You're supposed to be able to see and recognize how this person perceives the relationship, and how this person perceives the relationship, and how that person thinks, and how that person engages their ego. Human design helped me realize I used to try and hide from the storm and be safe, and now it feels like a challenge where I walk through the center of the storm and come out on the other side. And that's what the buffaloes do. Buffaloes are incredible creatures. While most of the other animals will run away from the storm, the buffalo says, I'm strong. I'm going to get through the storm. I'm going to go directly through it. And the buffalo gets through the storm faster than everybody else. Dude, I was super sad until I got in this live. Let's go. Let's go. Again, it's okay to be sad, but for me, I've been experiencing this like wider spectrum of emotion, and it's not through learning more about human design. It's through practicing sensory design, which is linked to human design, but it's not human design really. It's like a healed nervous system is one you can trust yourself to use, not the one that never isn't okay. Right? It's like my nervous system isn't surprised by sadness, right? It might be surprised by like the way that sadness comes and what sensations happen, because even though the sensations feel familiar, there are nuances to every sensation, because every moment is new and fresh. But being able to trust my nervous system Being able to feel safe enough to feel sadness, that's a real thing. And like I said, if your nervous system doesn't feel safe, even if there's no danger, if your nervous system doesn't feel safe, that's like the same thing for you. And people will look at you like, what's wrong with you? And they'll ask you that and they'll get you to think, what's wrong with me? And it's not, there's nothing wrong with you. Your body can handle it. But if your nervous system is afraid, that's the thing you have to work on. Not this over, not the emotion. You got to work on feeling safe first before that. Yeah, I don't even know why. I get waves of emotion like that as well. Where I'm like, I don't know why I'm so sad, but I just feel really sad. And I used to, I used to like, oh, I got to heal this. I got to heal this. And it's like missing the point of like actually, no, you just got to feel that one for a second. It was just all the rock bottom today. Questioned what door did the Pope open? Oh my God, right? I gotta go pee. I'm gonna go think about that. I'll be right back. Um, if you guys are enjoying the live, please share it. Please like it. All of that stuff helps me out so much. I'll be right back. I'm gonna pee. Sadness came on all of a sudden. It was really deep and dark. Yeah, sadness. Again, I think a lot of sadness, or in a more general term, like the low end of an emotional wave, is really for getting, in my opinion, is getting water out of your body, because water has the highest memory potential out of all of the elements. It's also the element that makes up most of our body is water. And so when we're in these emotional states, this is opportunity for that water to transform and either be released or at least move from your throat into your stomach, where it can be digested and then pooped out. Like all of the energetic things, by the way, if you hopefully you see this, all of the like energetic principles, like manifestation and releasing energies and letting go of energies, they're the same as physical stuff. Like manifestation is speaking or doing, right? um, Letting go is taking poop and peeing, right? So I've been doing better since Pluto moved. It's funny because there are certain astrological instances that make human beings feel stuck, and human beings look at being stuck as death. Sometimes though, you have to be stuck in order to transform, right? The hermit crab has to grow to a point where it's too big for its shell, and it has to leave the shell and be vulnerable and find a bigger shell and bigger housing. Moving water like crying, yes, crying, sweating, screaming, spitting. Again, it's there's stuff that gets stuck in our body, and there's this definitely this like, oh, I got to get that out. I got to get the toxins out. I got to get the parasites out. And it's like, look, if you just get the toxins out and get the parasites out, and you don't actually approach it the right way, and there is a right way to do all that stuff, you're just gonna put them back in. You're just going to find more people to traumatize you. You're just going to find more parasites to eat. You're just going to find more heavy metals and toxins, because if you don't understand and you don't like actually give yourself the opportunity to feel and grieve and all of that, even if you get rid of that stuff and you heal it, there'll be more stuff. Guaranteed. There'll be more stuff. That rings so true. I never thought of it like that. Right. And so this is the thing is, when you're emotional, there's no truth in the emotion, right? Somebody that you love, and this is good for Amanda if you're still here, for your child. I hate you. They're emotional. Don't take it. They don't actually fucking hate you, and not to like diminish what you're feeling, but just like, if you can see that, hey, when people are in their emotions, they're gonna do stuff. They're gonna say things. They're gonna feel things that are simply not true. And think about it for yourself. You've been emotional in your life, and you've thought, I should just leave this relationship. I should just quit my job. I should just like I hate this person, right? I can't believe they do. I'm never going to talk to them again. Not true. Not true. Because once you move through the emotional wave and you've moved the water along, it's like the churning, right? It's churning and churning. Then you scrape the top off, and then you're left with a more pure mixture. Right? And that's what the emotions are here to help us do, is to purify how we actually feel about things, and to ultimately bridge the gap between physical and non-physical. It's like I'm scared to feel all of life. Michelle, I get it, but you were built to feel all of life. You were built to feel it. And this is a very interesting and potentially scary thing though, because we can see through internet more of other people's suffering and other people's uh, heights and elations. We just even just like 10 years ago, like you 20 years ago, before the internet, like the only things that you would really get pressured by was the things that are physically in your environment. Now you're carrying around a pressure device that you look at, see, and say somebody's sad, and maybe you're feeling sad. See somebody super happy, then you're feeling happy. Or you're comparing yourself, like, man, I never am happy, or I'm never sad. Like, look at these losers. You know, it just creates so much more restaurants for the hungry ghost of the mind to engage in. And again, it's like, if you just let that hungry ghost run free, it'll destroy your life. And it'll destroy your life by creating a life that you're like, about. Like, yeah, I guess I could live, I could do this. That's one of the worst things. Having a terrible life, that sucks. But what sucks more is having a mediocre life. One that you feel like you have to live even though you didn't choose it. And the reality is, you can change that. You don't have to live the life that other people are choosing for you. You also have to acknowledge that you chose it for yourself. You couldn't tolerate the pressure. You couldn't tolerate the conditioning, and so you bent the knee to a king or a queen or a sovereign or a monarch or a system that doesn't actually care about you. They just care about the way you show up in their life. We were talking about the physical body, and he made me ill, literally, or make me right. So those sensations, what you're experiencing is the feedback of your inability, the inability for your nervous system to tolerate and hold space for your son. You're too emotionally involved. You're too whatever, and it makes sense. It's not something to run away from. It's something to be aware of, right? It's something to like, hey, I love you. I'm gonna need to go take some space. I need to go take, right. Like when you've reached your limit of your ability to tolerate something, typically that's when you get away from the stimulus, right? And while you're in the edge of your tolerance, that's also where you're building strength, where you're building tolerance. Tolerance is the ability to endure something with little effort. It's patience with little effort. Steven, was it? I dislike that phrase, bent the knee. Good, because you shouldn't be, the only person you should be bending the knee to is yourself, or to your teachers and thanking them. No human being should be subservient to others, right? Unless they genuinely want to, unless all of their faculties want to. I walk away, I deal with my reactions and shield and veil. Yeah, and again, this is so in that's the defense mechanism, but there are ways to strengthen so that when that is happening, instead of lasting 10 seconds, you last 20 seconds. And it takes time to develop and cultivate, but it's possible. It's possible. And I'm not saying that the archive is the only place you can learn that. Any kind of somatic or sensory exercises will help you with that. However, the archive is the only place that I know of right now that is actually weaving it with human design. Oh, we got a Twitch viewer, huh? Oh man, sorry Instagram. I haven't been checking out the chat. I don't know why I'm not getting your guys' chat in here. Well, it's all right. But anyway, I do walk away. Yes, always a work in progress. I'm on Twitch now. So I just upgraded my internet to a Starlink, and so now I'm on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, um, and Instagram, which is pretty sweet. Should follow you on Instagram. Yeah, and so yeah, so if you guys are not following me on any of the other social medias, I don't actually know what's gonna happen with TikTok, but please come follow me on the other social medias. All of my stuff like Reikimarco on Twitch, Reikimarco on YouTube, Reikimarco all over. Styling, yes, please ask me a question about human design. I would love to. I've always thought if Instagram was a bud delivery name first, it would have been Insta. That's funny, dude. Instagram, Instacart, Instadank, Instabud, Instagram. That's actually that is pretty great. That's hilarious. So let's see. This coal is out, but we can light the coal back up with a lighter. Revive the coals. Oh, I follow you on Insta already. Never mind. Yeah, no worries. No worries. I really have come to love TikTok so much more than Instagram, simply because social media is very interesting, right? And social media has helped to reinforce people's conditioning, um, in the sense that, you know, most when social media started, it was like your friends, right? And then very quickly, social media became a place to be discovered as opposed to share with your friends what's going on. So the reason I like TikTok is, in my opinion, is because like it's such a beautiful shift away from, hey, impress the friends that you have online, and hey, find people that are actually like you. And if you look at human design in 2027, that's why social media is moving this way, because the entire like the past 400 years, it's been like, hey, there's hey, we lived in communities and had planning and government took care of us and stuff, and now we're moving into a different phase, like more individual stuff, etc. I'll touch on it. That's not a lighter, that's a torch. It is. Yeah, I'm definitely still swinging my lightsabers, guys. I don't. I've been super hard at work on the archive, guys, and it's been a lot of work. So I haven't been um, in my expression as much. Um, but I'm hoping that next year we'll get some allies in the archive who can help me with some of the techier stuff, so that I can like move into back into kind of like my more of my creative flow, make more music, make more lightsaber stuff, and also like film more courses for you guys. So Emma Cornett on Twitch, what's up? I don't think I've ever had an actual person on Twitch, by the way. It's always been like bots and stuff. So Emma, what's up? Feel free to ask your question. Whoever asked the question about being a projector parent. So if you listen to Ra's talks and people in the human design community talk, they say that projectors are not supposed to have children. Now, the reason they say that is because projectors are not built to solo raise children. Generators and manifesting generators typically have a more natural inclination to parent, but if a projector, especially a projector mother, doesn't have the support of some type of sacral being, um, then it's going to be very hard, right? And yeah, if you're a projector mom, I effed up and had four. That's so funny. You didn't F up. You just, but let me know if this resonates. Like, there's times when you're like, man, I really do not want to be a mom right now. It's not that you aren't supposed to have children, it's that the demand for a mother on a projector is tough. So as a projector mother, one thing that I would recommend is really find people that can support you and co-play, even if they're not like watching your kids for you. Having like a sacral friend come over for a couple hours a day, and y'all co-play together, right? How do you know which one you are? So if you just go to my website, you can generate a body graph on my website. That's reikimarco.com. The link is also in my bio. Generating a body graph is free. You can learn a lot of information just from what is there. I do have reports that will tell you all about your body graph. I have a budget one, $20 one, and then one that's a little bit more advanced, and it gives you some more of the thesis and the this is how to use human design, etc. I recommend getting one of those. And now I got to verify that I'm not an NPC. Great, let's do it. Yeah, but being the house therapist is exhausting at times. Right. So have and I would say as well, and this is an important lesson, boundaries are with yourself. They look like they're with other people, but boundaries are with yourself. If you have a boundary like, "Hey, I don't want to like address your emotions," or I don't have the capacity to address your emotions, and you find yourself in a situation where now you're having to be the therapist, right? It's not that they overstepped your boundary. They did. But the more important thing is that when they overstepped their boundary, you didn't exact any consequences, right? You didn't move. You just let it happen. And I know again that's a harsh thing to say sometimes because it's like, oh, that's your family and your people and you want to be able to like do that. But again, if you don't have the capacity for it, like my partner does it to me all the time, and it pisses me off. But I accept it because I don't want her to degrade herself in order to show up for me. And this is where the dynamic of a family really will fall apart if everyone is relying on each other to take care of them. What I mean by that is, I need you to take care of me. That's faulty. As a baby, that's only right and appropriate for a baby. Okay? Um, Eventually you grow up and you have to learn, hey, I'll take care of me for you and you take care of you for me. That's a much better place to meet than I need you to take care of me. A lot of people's relationships are built off of that. And a lot of them are very conscious. Like a lot of them are like, I need you to do this and I need you to be more supportive and I need you. No, you don't. You want them to be more supportive. You want them to be more respectful. You don't need it. Are you going to die if you don't get it? No. But if you don't uphold your standard and you don't actually uphold the boundary that you set for yourself, you can't blame anybody else. I'm going to tell my kids, Marco said, no, not right now. Like, literally, it's like, hey, do you want to invite me to be your therapist right now? And they're like, oh, mom, will you be my therapist right now? No, I'm sorry. I don't have the energy for that. Ask me in 20 minutes. Or maybe if you want me to do this for me. Hey, look, if you do the dishes, I'll listen. Or maybe do the dishes and I'll listen. Do the laundry and I'll sit and listen to you. So, again, be creative about it. It doesn't have to be this like, no, we can't engage. But as the projector, you're here to guide. And if someone is not giving you an invitation, that should be an invitation for you to get clear on what the invitation is. So you want me to sit here and listen to you while you process your emotions? Okay. Do you want my advice afterwards? No, you don't. Okay. Well, if that's the circumstances that you want, you get 10 minutes because I can't handle more than 10 minutes. Or I'm not able to tolerate more than 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, your emotional energy starts to get up in me, and you don't have to explain all this to them. But hopefully this like turns some light bulbs on and you start to uphold your own boundaries with yourself. Because yes, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Exactly, Amanda. Got no problem. Yeah. And it's so funny too because it's like this is the kind of thing where as a parent, society says, "Oh, if you're not listening to your kids' problems or you're not being their therapist or you're not doing this for them or you're not doing that for them, you're a bad parent." It's like, fuck you, society. You haven't raised any kids, society. It's individuals that raise children. It's tribes that raise children, not governments. That's why governments can do terrible things, because governments have no children. They just have citizens. They have subjects. That's why there's some kings that are wonderful, because they see their citizens as their children, monarchs. Some people there's been some kings in history, rulers in history that treated every individual in their society as their children. And those are the people that were loved. If you get treated like that by your ruler, you feel well taken care of, etc. That's cool. That's nice. There've been people like that. Not a whole lot, but there've been people like that. And more so, there have been people on that on a small scale because it's like physically impossible to care about so many people. You can have a certain mindset and certain infrastructures in place, and I believe that genuinely our current system has endeavored to do that, and it's gotten closer than ever before. But everyone still loves to hate on America, and I'm like, That is the most privileged shit ever. I get it. America's done some terrible things, but if you've benefited from it, it's um it's unfair. It's unfair to bite the hand that's been feeding you, even if you're in a cage, because you could build a relationship with that, and if you build enough of a relationship, you'll realize that it's you that put yourself in that cage, not the government. Anyway, what I think I understand seems like a yeah, that seems right. Yeah, I lost two best friends and sisters because I set boundaries. Feather, I'll tell you right now, um, if your friends leave you because you decide to start tending to your needs, those are not friends that you want. It's hard. I get it. I have very recently feel like I lost some friends because of some boundaries I set up. But I unfortunately cannot move on that boundary. I'm a I'm a I'm a I'm a father. Like I have to make decisions that are going to be good for my family, and even though some other people might want me to do something else, I see how other countries do healthcare and food regulations, and I want to move, but I don't have the means. Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, again, I totally get that. And whatever healthcare or what else did you say? Healthcare and food regulations, like, you can totally, um, I say, be creative. You could. There's a lot you can do here in America. Again, wholeness, brother. OG. Hello, hello. Um, yeah, Hawaii is a total vibe though, right? Like Hawaii is a total vibe, and part of it is because the indigenous culture here has yet to be really snuffed out, and there's such an really kind of like dizzying. It's a dizzying relationship, um, the America and Hawaii. You know, it's like it's like borderline. How you say, super controlling dad and like elder woman that just like does whatever she wants. Because there's so many like things in Hawaii where it's like regulations don't get enforced because it's like, oh, you don't step on the tribal land, bro. And there's plenty of times when it's like, hey, don't step on the tribal land, and people step on the tribal land and do a bunch of stuff. I've been contemplating concierge primary care, like a business, or when I had callers in customer service once from Hawaii, they're my absolute favorite, right? Because we're chilling. We're like happy to have service. I've been online with customer service agents, and it's funny actually. Whenever I do have to call a customer service, or even with like getting support on any of my projects, I'm Filipino. I'm not from Hawaii. I grew up in San Diego, and yeah, there are not many Hawaiians living here, which is really they get pushed out, priced out, which is messed up. Um, and regardless of how messed up it is, one of the things that I have seen, again, with the boundaries, I've seen super fat Hawaiians. I see Hawaiians that eat the colonizers' poison. They drink the alcohol. They eat the food. And yes, maybe they were tricked into doing it. But just because you got tricked doesn't mean, and you've been doing it for many years, doesn't mean that you have to keep letting that shit happen. Like just because someone's been abusing you for years and years and years, what does that mean? That they're allowed to do it because you're used to it now? No. And so one of the things that it's hard for Hawaiians to hear this because they have been abused. But I say this to people that have been sexually abused. It's like, look, how long do you want that to continue? Because if you just keep allowing that to continue, then it's you are to blame. What's that saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Because you already fooled me once. Now, what I like is fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 3 times, shame on me. Because here's the thing, just because something happens once, I don't expect it to happen a second time. But if something happens twice, it's probably going to happen a third time. That's where the actual like, hey, I'm an idiot for letting you hurt me 3 times. If you hurt me twice, you can hurt me twice before I'm like, later. Blessings, motherfucker. You know, Oh man, these lives are so fun. It's such like a full spectrum experience. And then since I've been doing the sensory design stuff, it's like even more sensational. It's awesome. So it's also a matter of knowing you are in the matrix to make any changes, right? Yeah, and because the matrix has a different set of rules than the real world, right? Like if you've ever been in a situation, and I've been in this situation a lot, where the leader of the conscious organization is actually engaging in some like very shadowy stuff, but refuses to take accountability for their impact and refuses to acknowledge events that happened that can be corroborated by multiple different sources, right? That creates an illusion that a lot of people just buy into. And a lot of the times I'm usually sitting in like, what is going on here? And I've how you say experienced a lot of personal suffering, wanting to everyone else to see that. And I spent a lot of time trying to get other people to see that. But here's the thing: if I spend my time doing that, rather than investing my energy into leaders that are willing to be held accountable, that are willing to admit that they're not special, that is the thing that's going to be where I want to put my energy. Not trying to convince, like, don't you see reality? Don't you see what's going on here? It's like, so if you got friends, family, if even if it's your partner that's like doesn't see what's going on here, just stop investing energy into trying to get them to see and just open your eyes more. So sensory design is actually so my best friend, um, his name is Pasha. He is a mad scientist. He is a basically like a physical therapist. He gets people out of wheelchairs. He helps people with scoliosis. He fixed his own scoliosis without surgery, and he has been studying human design since its inception. And what he's doing is he's taking a somatic approach to human design, and I'm like his partner in crime. So I'm like his assistant. He's like, hold this, and I'm like, all right, cool. And he pours it. And I'm like, oh my god, this is insane. But essentially, what we're doing is we're and yeah, he's a 1-3. I'm a 3-5. He's a emotional manifesting generator on the cross of the sleeping phoenix. I am a 3-5 reflector on the cross of rulership. And so we're just like a perfect team because like we've been geeking out about this kind of stuff for ever since we've known each other. It's been about 4 or 5 years, and coming up on 5 years, and it's just so funny because we know a lot about human design. Both him and I, we know a lot about human design. We don't know everything, but we know a lot. And the amount of progress that both of us have made in experimenting with sensory design, which again is like a sensation and somatic approach to human design, rather than learning a bunch of information because the mind thinks in pictures and words, but the body thinks in sensations. We're saying, how do we approach human design from a sensation standpoint so that we can embody and use human design rather than just study it? Because I know plenty of people who study it that are brilliant. They know the system really well, but when the pressure is on, their nervous system is deregulated and they resort to their conditioning. They cower in the face of fear. They're not courageous because they don't feel safe. And it's not shameful. It's just like, hey, that was the time that you really needed to use your strategy and authority. Why didn't you do it? And they'll come up with, oh, because this transit and that, and I'm just not feeling this, and they're not receptive. The answer is you didn't use your strategy and authority because you didn't feel safe. You were afraid of the consequences, and that's it. So, what do you do with that? Well, you start to microdose the poison. You start to expose yourself to situations that are challenging to feel safe in, breath holds, things like that. And so we have a whole system that we're like dripping on the archive, which is a community that is like we're all doing this together. We're all going, and it's gonna be our our support group, because some people are gonna, like myself included, come up against challenging emotions. I don't feel safe. Like I don't feel safe, but nothing is dangerous around me. Why do I feel this way? It's like, hey, look, there's nothing wrong with you. That's what happens when you don't have a relationship with sensation. Any kind of effort, any kind of pressure, any kind of you're in danger, any kind of fear, you just melt under. So anyway, I've been experienced with creating affirmations based on gate and line placement. Super fun. I love that. Super fun. And one thing about affirmations that's important, but a lot of people don't recognize, is when you're speaking the affirmations out loud, they're much more effective because you have to create a vibration in your body to make the sound. Now, if you're not infusing any energy into those affirmations, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm super happy and grateful that I'm alive right now. I'm super happy and grateful that I am alive right now. Now, that was kind of an act, but genuinely, there was more energy that I infused into the second one. And it's not that, oh, you should be the second one and not the first one. It's, hey, you should know which one is real. Like when I say something and it doesn't feel true, it's not because I'm thinking, is it true? Am I certain that it's true? It's because it doesn't feel true. Like if I say my name is Kevin, that just doesn't feel true to me. Now, again, feeling and objective reality sometimes don't line up. And you can be delusional in the sense of I feel this, but it's not like objectively lining up in reality. And the idea is to be both. You know, we have a left hemisphere that's very masculine and a right hemisphere that's very feminine. That's what they do, right? And they oscillate. When you walk forward, moving forward requires that you use a left foot, then a right foot, and a left foot and a right foot. You could do the left foot, left foot, left foot, left foot, masculine, only facts only, all that stuff, feminine, feeling, 5D, never in the body, in the in the on the ground, etc. You have to use both, dude. Use both. You were born with both. Use both. Some people are born without legs, guys. Anyway, yes, I've cried reading one out loud, even though it had no impact putting it on paper. Yes, I scrolled in at the right time. Conscious Kenny, welcome to the party, my friend. Yeah, we're just getting started. Well, technically, no, we're like sort of near the end, but anyway, my new favorite is singing "I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am healing, I am free." Yes, 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 yes. That's great. And explore one of the things that you might want to explore is what happens when you sing something that's less like empowering. What does it do to you, right? Because we see stuff all the time that's very disempowering, and what we do is we swipe right away. Oh, get away from that. Dangerous. No, not dangerous, but it is provoking some type of fear. And again, like microdosing poisons is one of the best ways that I can explain this, because if you're living in a place where there's a bunch of snakes running around, and thankfully in Hawaii we don't have the situation yet, um, but if I lived in a place where there is people getting bit by snakes and stuff like that, one of the things that I would do is I would get some venom of that snake and I would microdose myself. I'd go through the thorough of it, but that way at least when I get bit by a snake, I don't die. So it's preventative care. It's like Eastern medicine in a way. Sensory design is out of this world. I'm so excited for the next level. Marie, how has it been? I have been on another level because I think because I'm connected to the archive and I'm feeling how much sensation everybody is starting to experience now, and I'm like the reflector of that group. So um, I'm really feeling it. But yeah, if you want to share, Marie, I see you in here in the archive studio. So I don't have to be ick them. I just have to be more ick me last line. I don't know what you're saying there, Amanda. Could you rephrase that? Could you speak to the yin yang gates? I'm more yin in design. I'm more yang in personality and balanced and all. Okay, so if you're looking at neutrino design, which is the app that I recommend you get, because all of the other ones suck compared to this one. Um, you can get that via the link in my bio. You get 25% off. And if you want to join the group, Conscious Kenny, it's called The Archive. It's $37 a month, which apparently is a lot of people's favorite number. So I'm like, dang, are we going to raise the price? That is a good number. But it will get crowded in there if we don't. And so right now it's early entry. And so come in there and check it out, though. We are in the first season. So episode 1 just happened of sensory design. 33 is mine. Gotcha. Okay. So there's a recording for you to watch, but we're going through a 9-week journey in this membership, and it's not just the sensory design. There's also a course on biomechanics, which is going to retrain your walking, running, and throwing patterns so that you walk and move like a human being from a mechanical perspective. You're going to be able to access soft tissue, which is about getting adhesions and knots. You can think about like your muscle fibers are like hair, right? When you just put your finger in your hair and you try and pull it out, it doesn't do much. That's foam rolling. This is stretching. Stretching is, especially if you have a lot of adhesions, stretching is not good for you. It just makes the knot worse. You have to get in there and actually tease the things out. And it's very sensational. Also teaches tolerance, which is the ability to be patient without effort. But anyway, I digress. Back to the yin yang thing. If you want to join the archive, again, link is in the bio. With the yin yang, right? Yang is masculine, reliable, consistent. Yin is the opposite. It's feminine. It's flowing. It's inconsistent. There's a longer rhythm to it. And so if your design is more yin, what that means essentially is that your body and your physical vehicle is going to be more aligned with a yin way of doing things. So you might go to sleep at different hours. And you know, you might eat different kinds of food, or your body might respond well to like more flowing style of routine. Meanwhile, your personality is more yang. You're going to be a little bit more, how you say, inclined to be a bit more strategic with the way that you think, because design is body, personality is mind. Another way to look at that is the design is the vehicle and the personality is the passenger. You, as the driver, have to take care of both, though. And so, and when it comes to the yin and yang of the personalities and the designs as well, there are much more intricate layers that I would actually have to see your body graph to speak on. But it's that there's definitely a lot of how you say insights or exploration that you can do with just knowing what I just shared with you. So I'm 45 after motherhood, learning how to be authentic self again. Yeah, and there's you know, during motherhood, it's like the version of you, I like to call it the maiden, that comes before the mother. You know, there's a death of the maiden. But then what happens after motherhood is the crone. Is the you've gone through the death of the maiden, and now the mother is also dying, and now it's the crone, which is everyone is afraid of being the crone because it's not beautiful, because society really doesn't give a damn about elders, and it sucks, because it's like elders are the ones that you can either learn from, whether they are something to behold or something to beware. We can learn a lot from our elders. Abby, yes, get in here. It's so good. I know. It's fun for the for the people that are in the archive. It's like it's so small right now, and we're going to look back, and there's going to be, you know, people joining that are just learning about sensory design for the first time, and we're going to be like, oh, I remember when I learned about sensory design, and we're going to want to help them, because we're gonna be hopefully in our everyone in the archive that has been in there for a while. The goal is to like get you to a point where like your life is so good that you can't think of anything better to do than to just like support everyone around you. And this is actually one of the unknown side effects that I've been experiencing of practicing sensory design, is like random acts of kindness. Energy for random acts of kindness. I got home from town yesterday, and I live right by Jaws, which is one of the most famous surf breaks in the world. And there are guards up there that are in the hot sun, you know, just basically making sure a bunch of the tourists don't like ruin the land out there or get themselves killed. So I went and I took them bubbly waters. I walked up, took me like 8 minutes to walk up my hill, and I gave them bubbly waters because I was like, oh, I they're probably, it's hot, I'm hot, they would probably appreciate a drink. And so I went and brought them a drink. And then there was another guy on the trail, and he was like, I lost my dog. And I didn't help him look for the dog, but I was like, I'm on my way back up the street. Give me your number. If I see your dog, I'll call you. And I saw his dog. And so I called him, and he was stoked. And so this is the thing, is like when you feel safe in your body, truly feel safe in your body, and not just when you only when you feel safe, but when you start to get really honest with yourself about how safe you feel with your nervous system, and you're not trying to like impress Instagram or impress your partner or do any of that, when you are honest and transparent with how safe you feel and how safe you don't feel, life really opens up to you, because it's only at that point that you can actually start to use your human design when it matters. It doesn't matter if 99% of the time you use your strategy and authority of waiting for an invitation and you know, listening to your emotional authority. If the one time when it matters, like someone is you know, like how you say, encroaching on your emotional authority, or they're demanding things from you. They're not inviting you to do things. They don't see you. Like if someone is doing that and you can't use your strategy and authority because you don't feel safe enough to disappoint somebody else, that's when it matters. The 99, it doesn't matter the 99% of the time, because that's the thing that you're stuck on. But what they say, a chain is measured, the strength of the chain is measured by the weakest link. Why? Because in a line, if one link breaks, the entire tension is lost. Now, in the human body, there are many different places where there are chains. And if one of those breaks, the others will compensate for it. But if that chain is not repaired, just one little break right here. And I'm pointing at this because this is what I've been discovering. There's something here on my right side in my throat that when I do some of these drills, energy gets caught there. And it feels like a grater. Like it's like energy should just be like on a water slide from my throat down into my gut. Like that's the ideal. It's like, oh, it's like a water slide. It's all fluid. But there's a freaking cheese grater or something right here that it shreds up the energy. And I'm not trying to fix that or heal that, because it's not something that needs to be fixed or healed. It's something that just I just need to be aware of and mindful of. And then through that awareness and mindful and acceptance of it, that's all. That's where the healing comes from. So anyway, I love to do random acts of kindness. No video, just the smile people get and the shock on their face. Right, it's so fun. And as a reflector too, it's like they weren't expecting that. And I was just like, hey, and it wasn't like I didn't bring them like a La Croix. Not that I'm trying to say like La Croix is like a, you know, less cool than the San Pellegrino, but I brought them San Pellegrinos. Get the thin can, you know, ice cold. They were stoked on hi to all. Curious, what's your design? So my design is, I'm a 3-5 reflector on the cross of rulership. Yes. So I already want to show everyone what I learned on Friday. I know, Abby. So and here's the invitation: is don't tell people about it. Invite them to join the archive, because here's the thing: is when you start to experience transformation, one of the exciting things that we will do as human beings, and this goes for everyone, not just in the archive, like let's say you go to a retreat or you learn about human design, right? One of the things, of course, that you want to do is you want to invite all the people that are like close to you and that you care about to do this with you, because I'm getting so many benefits. Don't do that. If you want them to do what you're doing, just keep doing what you're doing and let them wonder and ask, like, yo, Abby, you just seem so much more like joyful lately. What are you doing differently? And it's like, oh, I started training in the archive. And it's like, well, can you show me? And the reality is, you're still learning this. And so the invitation is to, hey, bring them back into the archive. And on top of that, it's not that you're just still learning this, but it's also like, you know, just like let your results speak for you. And the same thing with yoga teacher training or men coming off a men's retreat. They just want to like leak the energy. And that's what it is. Oh, you got to check this out. This will help you so much with this, rather than like, hey, just spend a couple months just quietly in your own lane, refining your senses. People will ask you, yo, your aura is on point, or your energy has just been so incredible to be around. What are you doing differently? Well, 3 months ago, I started training this sensory design stuff in the archive, and that's what's different. Oh, can I do that? Sure. Because again, it's like you don't want to, like, you ever try to push a string? It doesn't work. You can't push a string. You have to pull a string. Friends and stuff like are like that. You have to pull them into the new vibration. You can't get below them and push them up. I haven't said anything to anyone, but been doing the exercises with my kids in the morning, and I'm like, this is life changing. Yes, Abby, that's it. So yeah, like your kids, they're watching what you do. So if you're trying to explain to your kids, and this is the same thing that happens, you're trying to explain to them, oh, use your human design, blah blah blah, versus like, hey, let's make the chipmunk face, let's make the sour face, right? Let's do the exercises. Brilliant. I'm so stoked that your kids are catching on to it. How old are they, by the way, Abby? Let's see. But how do I start doing this in training? So we have a membership right now. It's called the Archive. It's $37 a month, and this is like bleeding, cutting edge human design stuff. We're in the how you say early entry phase. Like we're before we start running ads and like really like blowing this up. We're letting people in at a discounted rate, because I want this to be like an organic and there to actually be a community. So if you feel called to start training this way, again, there is a price on it so that we can actually make it happen. So anyway, I've been on my own and worked with little here and a little there. Yeah, it's such an amazing reflector, hitting all the energies I've been working with in my design. Yeah, because it's like, everyone working with their human design, you have to deal with your nervous system at some point. And a lot of people like are afraid to do that because it's scary, and I get it. But the real question, this is why you have a coach or someone that's been there before, is like, hey, look, you're safe. You can do this, right? Someone to believe in you, someone to help you escape the how you say the rigidity of your conditioning. Not my nervous system. Right, right, exactly. Yeah. That's funny. So 2 year olds and a 1 year old. My 2 year old asked me what I was doing and has been doing it with me since. This is I genuinely believe, like, you can read all the parenting books in the world, but if you don't learn to regulate your nervous system as a parent, none of those books are going to be helpful for you. Because again, when it matters, when your kids are yelling and you're at the end of your you're at the edge of your tolerance, right? The books aren't going to help you. It's the training you've done with your nervous system to feel safe, to guide from a calm, cool, collected place that's going to help you. And you don't get that way by learning a bunch of stuff. You don't get that way by reading a bunch of books. You get that way by exposing yourself to sensations and building a relationship with sensations in your body. This is also the path to better posture, right? A lot of people are like, oh, shoulders back, relax the shoulder blades. Like, it's very mechanical. But if you actually know how to smell, if you know how to create the proper pressure systems in your body, your posture will be naturally good. Human beings had perfect posture before the Industrial Revolution. Before we had all these things to identify with, human beings had perfect posture. And it's not that we're trying to get back to that. We're just looking for a way to get unstuck from what the Industrial Revolution has done to us. How do you get the yearly discount? So when you go to sign up, there'll be two options for pricing. You'll see the $37 a month on the checkout page, and you'll see the $333, the annual option. So it's just at checkout. It's a two-step checkout. So you put in your information, and then you put in your payment information. On the payment page, you just select the annual. And MJ, if you don't see it, I may have made a mistake, and I will go fix that right now. But it should be there. I've had people do it before, so. But let me know if you don't see it. I feel like you solve 99% of our problems by regulating your nervous system. It's just so hard. Well, see, this is the thing: is it's not that it's hard. It seems hard, but really what it is people just want results right away, right? They're not. It's not hard. What's really hard is accepting where you're at, because a lot of people's nervous systems are not as developed as they think they are. And you can learn that with a simple diagnostic of, like, when you plug your nose and try and push out, do your ears pop? Or are you able to, like, bring all of that pressure down into your body? If your ears pop, yeah, you don't have the physical capacity to bring information all the way down into your body successfully, at least not without losing some bits of it. Love your videos. Do you only look at human design or also look at the birth chart? So I don't really do much astrology stuff. Um, Simply because I'm a realist. I'm a grounded person. A lot of the astrology stuff, in my opinion, is very it's insightful and it's interesting, but it's not necessarily super practical. And I'm open to being wrong about that. I'm open to having conversations with astrologers about that. But at the end of the day, my time and what I'm looking at with your body graph, like when we do readings, is I'm looking at what is your capacity for resisting conditioning. What is your capacity to use your strategy and authority in heightened states of awareness? And although I am looking at your body graph, that has much more to do with my ability as a reflector to take samples from your aura and read micro expressions. And if we're physically together, to physically take samples of your aura. So the human design kind of lines up with your birth chart from what I see. Yes, that's true too. Is if you overlay your birth chart on top of your human design, there's going to be more information there for you. And what I'm studying now is not really a system that has been created yet. And I see the person that's creating it as my buddy Pasha, and I'm helping him to create it. It's like he's like Raw, he's like the one that's getting the downloads. I'm like Linda Burnell. If you look at this, where is it? This book right here. Like Ra was teaching, mad scientist. Linda Burnell is the. She's not a reflector, but she's the one that helped him bring everything to it. I love reflectors. I'm a manifesting generator. I love manifesting generators. My brother's a manifesting generator. Pasha, my partner, who I said is the one that's like really the spearhead of this system, sensory design, is a manifesting generator on the cross of the sleeping phoenix. So it's like literally like you have someone on the cross of the sleeping phoenix, which is the cross that we're about to move into, and it's like, oh my gosh, functional Joe is in the house. What's up, my friend? So okay, the posture is so real. Why do I feel like it's already better and I haven't been doing it that long? Only the stuff we learned on Friday and the arm body mechanics, biomechanics videos are all I've done so far. So the reason why this stuff, you see such immediate results with this stuff, is because specifically with the face stuff that we do in sensory design, is because the face is where the nervous system begins, right? It's like this is the central housing of computers. This is where all the inputs are, right? I mean, you can touch stuff. You actually have oil factories, like the ability to smell with your hands. But if you don't know how to get your channels open, you're not going to be able to smell with your hands. But I can put my hand on your head and I can smell your thoughts. Sounds weird as heck. But there's people that can see color. What's that called? Chroma sensio. I don't know what it's called. Um, but it's like I do facials. I'm an esthetician. Yeah, so it's like you could learn this stuff and look at people's faces and watch people. It'll just give you so much more insights. But the reason why we see such like kind of like quick results is because we're starting at the beginning. We're starting at the foundation of your nervous system, which is not your feet, it's not your hands, it's not your body graph, it's your face and your head. So what we do is we create a foundation so that your head can actually be oriented properly, and so that your vestibular ocular reflexes start to heal themselves, which ear and eye, the reflexes. Because here's the thing, is if there's a bright light over here and your whole head turns, guess what? Your body is going to turn with it. You're going to do the thing. If you're in a Formula 1 race car and your head turns this way, the car goes that way. This is what's called rubbernecking. People are driving down the road and they're like looking at the car that just got into a crash and then traffic is slower. It's because their whole body is shifting orientation to look at the danger. Like when I'm driving and there's a crash over there, I might like throw the eyes over there, but it's not the whole head. Because here's the metaphor, is if there's a bright light or there's some kind of substance that is degrading to your body or some person that's toxic for your process and you look with the eyes, you're much less likely to do it. But if you look with the head, you're more likely to do it. If you have to turn your whole body to look at it, you're going to do the thing. We're addicted to doing what's right in front, doing whatever it is that's right in front of us, even if it's not healthy for us. And so it's really about getting, and so many layers of this, but it's really about acknowledging the postures that you're stuck in. The gingerbread lady, aka RC Magi. What's up, playa? Hello. Let's see, Brenda. I love hearing you talk so passionately. I'm really passionate about it, and actually, I just posted a video about passion. I'll say it again here to get you guys in the loop. Passion is derived from the Latin root passio, which means to suffer. So a lot of people think passion is like, oh, you're very excited or you're very driven or motivated. No, no, no. Passion means I'm willing to suffer for this thing. I'm passionate about family. I'm personally willing to suffer for my family. I'm passionate about these things. I'm personally willing to suffer so that this can happen. Yeah. Marie, I could feel a difference on my face the day after. It felt like a facelift. I looked so fresh, felt very beautiful. So again, once we open up this archive to the public, guys, there's so many angles that we're going to hit in terms of help become a better parent. Um, Look, Max, make your face more beautiful. Give yourself an organic facelift without having someone go and shove needles into them. Um, those are two of the angles. But it's just so exciting because again, this is what people in human design have been looking for a long time. And now it's like finally here. What's up, Prana? Lay Abrada. Hello, my dear. Hello. I would really actually love to talk to you soon, Lay. If we could talk soon, that'd be great. Do you mean going into crosses like we're going into the age of Aquarius? First time hearing about them. Yeah. So in human design, we shift through global incarnation crosses, and I forget exactly how many years, but in 2027 we are moving into the cross of the sleeping phoenix, which is all about the individual. It's all about you know interest based tribes, not geography located tribes or skin color, any of that. It's like, and again, you see it already happening. People that are interested in anime, they have their own culture. People that are interested in certain subgenres of anime, they have their own culture. So it's a time for us to be relating with ourselves and with other people more authentically and honestly. And for the people that don't have the nervous systems to handle it, they're going to fight tooth and nail to try and hang on to the old infrastructures and not move into the new world that is being created. Thanks, Lay. So, Daria, we're talking about human design, and specifically what I'm geeked on is the sensory approach to human design. My partner Pasha is a mad scientist, and he's developing a an approach to human design that is all about it's all form related. It's not head and ajna, learn a bunch of stuff about human design. It's like, hey, do these exercises, open up your perception of reality and sensation inside your body, and use that to feel safe so that you can use your strategy and authority. So it's tricky. Like I feel like I know this stuff, but consistently shift between self and not self. No, so Smiggins, you're literally touching on the point that I'm saying is like just because you know this stuff doesn't mean that you're actually able to use your human design or use your body graph or use your energy. This is what we're teaching in the archive, and it's early on. It's like this is something that like realistically, if we waited for it to be perfect, it would have taken another like 4 or 5 months for us to release. But we're like, hey, look, who are the people that are just going to take a bet on us and go through the experiment with us and do this? Because we've been sharing this with our clients one-on-one, drips here and there, but this is the first time that we're actually sharing this on like a wider scale, and we're not running ads to it. We're not doing any of that stuff yet. We're looking for the people that like I said, want to take a bet on us and be like, sure, I'll give that a shot. And the first time we ever shared this with people was last Friday. And you guys see me looking over here. I'm looking at the archive chat. These are people in the archive that did it last Friday that are saying, I feels like an organic facelift. I'm doing this with my kids. My posture is better. I've hardly done anything. And so anyway, this is what I mean. So the archive is it's a membership. So you can think of it like it's like a, what's it called? Uh, you can think of it like a course, but you also have room for discussion, and we also do live events. So again, yeah, it's all up there. Is the archive the stuff you have to catch as y'all put it out live, or the past things? So there are things to view, and the archive is open right now. And it's not really like the Discord channel. The Discord channel, and it's actually funny because I love talking about this because the Discord channel for me was like, what happens when oh sweet, what happens when what would happen if I created a Discord channel for people to just connect? The Discord channel was never meant to be a place where I'm actually teaching anything about human design. It was just a place for like people to connect with other human design people. And I love systems and whatnot, but the Discord has always been that experiment of like I just want to see what happens when people are relating and talking about human design. Because I had been in some Discord channels that were based on human design and they were fun, and I met so many wonderful people through the Discord. I got turned on to neutrino design through the Discord. I met one of my peers and teachers, Prana, through human design. Or through the Discord, and so I've made a lot of connections. But that's all it is. It's a network accelerator. The archive is like my community and Pasha's community. This is where we are like, hey, look, you're gonna invest into us. We're going to give you the absolute best stuff that we have. So the archive is like our thing, and what you can expect. There's a couple things. The sensory design expectations are it's like in the beginning, right? We're going to be starting with the head, so it's like face drills, sensory exploration exercises. um, you will probably sweat, but you're not like running around and doing aerobics. Now we do have courses in the archive that will retrain your walking and running and throwing patterns so that they're more natural for your body. And that is like, pick up a dumbbell and swing it and kind of stuff. But the stuff that I'm talking about is a lot more mellow. It's much more subtle, because again, we're looking to explore sensation. And one of the things that people do, and men especially do this, but women as well, it's like, I'm aroused, like, let's do it, let's make it happen, let's go penetrate. Slow it down, guys. Subtle sensations. How are you going to get, there's so much information that and sensation that can be experienced if we just slow down a little bit. So that's kind of what you can expect. It's awesome. But again, back to your point, Smiggins. This is like your knowing it and physically being able to use it are different things. And so yeah, that's again, come join the archive. That's what we're teaching. So what does that mean for Pasha since he has that cross? So for Pasha to have the cross of the sleeping phoenix, the sleeping phoenix is all about like waking up as an individual. It's all about the power empowerment and like this self empowerment channel. And really, what it really is for him, it's really about finding people that actually like are able to see him, finding people that are able to see him and that don't want to oh wow, that would be really good in this thing or in that thing, and like try and like use him, but like value him and champion him in a good way. Like this is the thing about the individual is, everyone obviously has a part to play in a greater thing, and everyone, I think, genuinely deep down wants to. um, but again, this is where the larger infrastructures and bigger businesses are starting to lose, because now they're competing with authenticity. They're competing with a dude in, a 14-year-old in his garage making remineralizing gum and selling that and making more money than Trident or Five Gum, with like no production value and just like being honest. So it's the introduction of how you say, it's the introduction of a different kind of economy, which is really exciting. So did you know that Aries Tech is a scam? I found out recently and it broke my heart. They have not one real legit patent, and they're actually going to face a huge lawsuit eventually. Is that for real? What? That sucks. They can't actually do what it says without disabling your technology. Interesting. I mean, I'm definitely gonna look into that, because I mean, it's not like I like sell a bunch of Aries Tech, but I do have it on my website. I will look into that. Thanks for letting me know. Um, and let's see, MJ, why were you bummed? I told you to let's see, it's not working for me and check out. I'm bummed. All right, MJ, just email me at support@reikimarco.com. I'll help you out. Sorry about that. I am a third line, so a lot of the technological stuff sometimes slips through my fingers on things, but I'll help you out, MJ. Yeah, just email me. Thanks. Support@reikimarco.com. Even, yeah, I'll look into that. So Smiggins, if you go through the link in my bio on TikTok here, you can find the link to the archive. So my normal web page, and actually that's a good, I need to update my web page, because the normal web page doesn't actually go to the kind, but I'll get it there. We will get all these things plugged in. Like I said, we could have waited a lot longer, but we're both third lines, and it didn't really seem to me like it was proper to wait, especially because we're so excited about this stuff. But we are going to run into that. And it's cool because the community, you're either going to understand and roll with us, because mistakes and troubleshooting and bugs are part of startups. Um, so, okay, let's see. I'm going to add. That's what I need to do. Okie dokie, thanks. Yeah, really excited to have whoever feels called to be in the archive. And if you need some more time, no worries. Again, this is not like oh, if you missed the boat, you missed the boat. There's recordings that will be available. There are live calls that we're doing, but there will be recordings available. And let's see. That's the one I want. Add it to my website. It's funny, I use my like links page, like the link tree looking thing that I have, um, more than my web page. So that's why I have to add the web page. Yeah, basically if you scroll to the bottom of my website, reikimarco.com, After I update this, there's going to be a button that'll let you join the archive. Or rather, it'll take you to the landing page that will allow you to join the archive. Yeah, and you know, again too, it's like um, with so many sensations now running through my nervous system that have like always been there, but I maybe haven't been aware to them. I'm like a very conscious individual, and when Pasha like came out of the woodworks and was like, "Hey, this is kind of the new thing that's going on," and he showed it to me, and I started practicing it. Um, the people that are going to be doing this for like if you do this for more than a couple months, it's like I'm so excited for that because I've been doing it for months now, and it's like there's a lot going on here. But I'm I'm more sensitive, but my range and my ability to navigate all that sensitivity is so much better. Misty Bab, I just got your membership there, sis. Let me so let's see. I think this is probably actually a good transition point for me. MJ, I'm gonna go to my email. I'm gonna make sure that you can get signed up. Because yeah, definitely the go for the year. I would highly recommend if you're gonna join the archive, go for the year because it's like, you know, you're saving money by getting bulk, but then also it's like if it's already paid for the year, then you don't have to like you're already gonna be committed. You know what I mean? And this is something that if you do this for a year, what takes people several years, you're going to be able to do in that 1 year. Because again, we're not trying to go from the mind to the body. We're just going directly into surrendering to the form. So, with that being said, I'm going to end this live. MJ, I'm going to come take care of you. And again, if anyone wants to hop into the archive and you want to get the annual and you're not able to get it for some reason, just send me an email at support@reikimarco.com. I'm going to work on fixing that today. Um, and yeah, also everything else that I do is still available because again, the mental side of human design is not bad. It's just you need both, right? So if you want to report or you want to use the app, best app on the planet, reports I made, so I'm just objective. Best reports on the planet though, at really affordable rates. Just go to my website. The app is 25% off if you sign up through my website. The reports, there's a budget version and a real version. Prana, what's up, my man? I'm going to be reaching out to you pretty soon too about some archive things. But always awesome to have you in here. Reports are wild and in depth, right? Yeah. There's Spiggins, I remember you. Yes, they're wild and in depth. They're overwhelming, but again, that's you got to take it in doses. So with that, guys, thank you so much. I am not going to be live on Wednesday because it is Christmas. So I'm going to be celebrating Christmas. Happy Christmas to any of you who celebrate it, and happy holidays to people that don't. I will be live Friday, the Friday after Christmas, and then also Friday is where we are having, or is when we're having after my live on Friday is where we're having the archive live. So again, that's exclusively for the archive members. And but if you want to get in on that, again, it's like you can try it out for a month for 37 bucks. There's not really a better deal than that. So thank you guys. I love you. Stay frosty. Enjoy your holidays. Embrace your family. Remind the people that you love in your life that you love them. Remind them of that. Um, I had a dream real quick that I want to talk about. It was really scary, but it really inspired me that like oftentimes the only time I'm giving gratitude to the people that I love is when I'm afraid of losing them or when I've lost them. And I don't want that to be the way. So just an invitation for you if there's people that you love in your life and they know you love them, remind them again. Just remind them again that you love them and how much they mean to you. Um, it's a great thing to be reminded of. So with that, love you guys, and I'll see you on Friday. Peace. All right. Love you guys. I'll see you in the archive until and on Friday. Peace. Have a great week. Yes, have a wonderful week, my friends. Cheers.